Well, one thing that made me smile quite a bit, actually.
Okay.
As of 9 a.m. yesterday, Mr. James Gunn sat upon his throne at DC Films. With and I fuck I know it's a co thing. It's not just him. It's I can never remember dude's first name, but Saffron is his last name. He's a producer guy, I think.
That sounds right. Yeah.
He produced the I think he's a producer, but I think he did the Shazam movie. I mean, a lot of other things, but like that one, I think that got brought up. But now this makes me very happy, just as as I've mentioned before, the comic book movie fan that I am, that's just I'm like, okay, good shit's gonna happen. And I'm like, because like I said, I'm like, I've always felt bad because as much as I love all the shit that's going on with Marvel, my current stuff aside, um not enough to make me walk away, but I'm like, I know that better days are coming. That's why I'm willing to let shit slide. But as much as I love all that shit, comic book wise, actual paper comic book, I've always been a bigger DC fan than Marvel. And it's pained me to see what's been going on with these prior asshats fucking up my franchises. And and I'm not going to say everything was bad. There was actually some winners. And as of late, oddly enough, the ones as of late that have been really good were done by James Gunn. Um
Who would have thought?
thought, yeah. Um but the real part of the story that just this is what makes me so happy is that let's go a few years back, sir. Let's go a few years back when James Gunn was just happy-go-lucky working at Marvel. Everybody loving that he made a big success out of Guardians of the Galaxy, something that nobody thought would happen in a million years. He fucking just stole the screen. And then some douchebags start pulling up 10 plus year comments, jokes that he made. Now, we got to remember these are jokes, all right? He wasn't 100% advocating this stuff. And as you and I can understand even more, James Gunn's a trauma boy at heart.
I I'm glad you brought that up because if you're not familiar with Trauma, audience, please go watch Trauma's War and prepare to be offended pretty much from the 6 minute mark to the end of it.
I pretty much like to think of Lloyd Kaufman as horror's Hugh Hefner.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
He
Or
is he's the most happiest, fucking coolest, craziest Mr. Magoo running a horror company.
except whereas Playboy was classy, he was like if Hugh Hefner owned Hustler.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta get that Flint in there.
Yeah. Well, a little Flint action.
But so he got fired. He got canceled, as they say.
Yep.
Marvel fucking fired him. And DC was needing to be on the up and up. And it's like, hey, why don't you come on over here and do some shit for us? He's like, okay, might as well. I like that shit too. Fucking knocks it out of the park over there. And then Marvel is just kind of like, I think we fucked up. I think we fucked up. Now, he was able to get paychecks from both companies. He went because they hired him back, and he's not a sucker, you know. And now he was quite possibly, I mean, actors and actresses aside, but on the like upper side, like director, producer, like those types of things, he's one of the few people that's fucking getting both Marvel and DC money. And then now it's just give him the fucking keys to the kingdom.
Marvel's gonna let you make another movie. That's cute. We're gonna let you run a studio.
No. What up, Sparrow?
Sparrow, welcome.
Uh, so it's just I was just like, good on you, bro. Like I said, I'm like I was so mad that shit happened when he got fired because it's like I'm not somebody who's like like, if somebody's a fucking asshole and needs to be taken out, I'm for it. I'm not one of those people that but it's on a case by case fucking basis. All right, his case should not have even been fucking paid attention to. All right, that was some stupid ass shit, you know, and like I feel bad. I mean, he apologized for it, but he did it smart and gracefully. But he did what he had to do. I feel bad that he even had to apologize for it. He didn't owe anybody an apology. Did not owe anybody an apology.
He was making jokes in the trauma light, and yeah, they probably weren't the classiest things to say, and yeah, they have their own bit of baggage on them, but dude's evolved. Unlike Hollywood, that
Mhm.
made jokes about what Harvey Weinstein was doing during public award ceremonies and didn't do anything about it until what, 5 years ago?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
everybody knew, but nobody gave a shit. So if you really want to give a shit, maybe not attack the dude that was making shit for trauma.
It's like anybody with like half an ounce of common sense would be like, why did he say that? And then just be like, he used to work for Trauma. Just spend 3 minutes or watch any singular Trauma film trailer, and you'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
There's a movie called Tromeo and Juliet where the dude has a mutated penis that appears on screen multiple times and it speaks. This is the company that the guy worked for.
aren't aren't they somehow associated with Frankenhooker?
I don't know.
At the very least, like a
They might
distribution
have
or
been the
something like that.
distributor.
And
Yeah,
then what was it? The one that they showed on Joe Bob, the one with fucking Clint Howard, Ice Cream Man.
Ice Cream Man. Yeah. Trauma distribution sometimes hits the trauma formula. Graduation Day is one of those too, and we like Graduation Day. It's a distributed movie. I don't think it's directed by a trauma regular, but they also distribute Combat Shock, which is arguably the most depressing movie ever. Ever. So they're all over the place with what the hell they do. But when you get a trauma production that is distributed and actually produced by Trauma, you get Toxic Avenger,
Yeah,
which is great.
we're getting a new one.
I'm waiting with open arms for it because even if I'm disappointed by it, it's a Trauma movie at the end of the day, so I'm probably gonna enjoy it.
That's all I need to know. It's like if I find out that what I'm about to watch is Trauma, I'm just like, A, I know I'm gonna have a fucking good time, and B, I know it's gonna be a fucking wild ride. So just buckle up. It may not make sense, but it'll still be a fun wild ride.
Yes, it is, and yes, Sparrow, we are,
Yeah,
and Peter Dinklage is in it.
Toxie is coming back, baby.
Now that might be like something to look into later. Looking at some trauma movies and what makes a trauma movie, because if you haven't seen one, you don't really know. You can't just go off of the word of mouth of it because, well, Ian, they have a look to them and they have a feel to them, and I don't think anybody else captures that. I don't think Full Moon captures it the same way. Bloomhouse doesn't do it. Bloomhouse doesn't really try though. They're some weird in between of arty and not so arty.
I
Uh,
I agree. I honestly I don't think any of them would admit to it, but okay, I take that back. I think actually like some of the more credible people would to some degree, but I feel that a lot of those companies try to actually emulate trauma more than they realize, maybe even, or that what people like Full Moon. Like I'm not talking shit about Full Moon or anything like that, but I'm like that's somebody that I'm like they kind of have their own vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when
What?
you see that logo, you're like, okay, I kind of already know what I'm in for, and I'm down. I'm just glad that I know.
Yeah, Charles Band. Couldn't think of his name earlier. That owns Full Moon. They have, and I think that episode of Joe Bob really illustrated that when they were doing the East Coast versus West Coast film with Head of the Family and the Habit or Habit. Um, Trauma movies have a certain trashy aesthetic to them. Like that's the only way I can really describe it. Like it looks like it's filth at times.
But he
Full
makes
Moon,
it charming.
and that's what makes it charming. Full Moon is schlocky, if that makes sense. Like it's polished, but it's kind of goofy. Like Head of the Family was goofy. That's the only way to describe it. But the movie looks clean, even if what's on the screen isn't necessarily clean. So Full Moon is your classed up Trauma, and Trauma is balls to the wall, whatever Trauma is.
Yeah.
That might be my that's my quick way of trying to describe
I've
the
watched
two.
way more trauma movies than I have Full Moon movies. Then not to say that I haven't watched a lot of Full Moon movies either, but I would say that that assessment is pretty goddamn spot on.
Go watch Toxic Avenger and then go watch Puppet Master and look at the difference between the two. That,
I mean,
boom.
that's a hell of a way to spend an evening too, just by itself.
You know what? I might do that soon myself.
Yeah. Uh, but knowing that James Gunn, like every time I see fucking great things happening to him, not only do I say, A, he deserves it because the work he does is fucking phenomenal. Uh, and two, I'm just like, it's just such a good feeling where it's just like everybody's just like, yeah, we totally fucked up. And he's just like, and he kept it, he didn't fucking get mad. He didn't fucking cause a scene. He just fucking was James Gunn.
To paraphrase Goodfellas, he took his licks and didn't rat out anybody, and then boom, he came out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what happened with Cassandra Peterson with Elvira versus the Vampira lawsuit.
This is true.
She took the high road, and he took the high road, and guess what? They both came out on top.
Well,